Summer. More like bummer. Hey, Sonic the Hedgehog, it's been a hot minute since we last talked about that franchise, huh? What the hell is this thing? Yeah, for a while there, I really was a full-blown Sonic tuber, and hey, that's just because it's the franchise that occupies my brain space so most of my time being conscious. I have a problem. But with the full-swing assault of content that this franchise is going in on these days, can you really blame me? And this year, we're being promised some good-ass food. For one thing, we've got the third movie on the way, and hey, if anyone remembers my video about movie 2, which is statistically none of you, I said I would love for Keanu Reeves to play Shadow, and hey, fate just works out sometimes, huh? But the other big thing on the horizon is Sonic X Shadow Generations, and I personally think it was a missed opportunity not calling it Sonic Generations and Shadow to call back to the good old days of Sonic 3 on the Mega Drive. I know it doesn't roll off the tongue well, but neither does Sonic X Shadow Generations. In conversation, I've mostly just been calling this thing Shadow Generations and leaving it at that. But anyway, to get to the point, I think we've gotten enough promo material at this point for me to make a video talking about it all in one go like I did with Frontiers, because I could actually not be arsed to make a new video every time a trailer dropped. So without further ado, let's jump in. So to kick off, let's talk about the Sonic Generations portion first, because apparently there's more changes made than you might think there was. Namely, the first new thing they've added is a Find the Chow mission that they've added to every level, which is a cute little addition, I guess. I mean, some people are definitely going to get the wrong idea and think we're getting a Chow Garden because internet and misinformation go hand in hand, but still, adding new content to the base generations is appreciated. Now, if you could just make the S ranks actually a challenge, that would be great, thank you. Also, we have some reports from people who played the demo back at Summer Games Fest about changes to modern and classic Sonic's controls. Classic Sonic has the drop dash now, and hey, as long as he doesn't control like Force's Classic Sonic, I'm all for any changes to him. And modern Sonic's control scheme has been changed to play more like Frontiers Sonic with the homing attack on square and boost on the trigger. And as someone who is completely acclimated to Frontiers controls now after 100% completing the game twice, I'm pretty grateful for this change. That being said, I would appreciate if an option to switch back to the old control scheme was available for those who want a pure Generations experience. That is pretty much all we know in regards to changes to base generations, and I wouldn't be surprised or that bothered if that was all they've changed. Generation has aged pretty well for being nearly 14 years old at this point, so if there isn't that much that's changed, I can deal with it. Besides, we all know the real star of the show is... I mean, like, really? Who is this? Is that Shadow Generations? Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen Matoi Ryuko's Persona getting down with his bad self, huh? This remaster of Sonic Generations is going to come with a mini Shadow game following a plot about the mysterious return of Black the Devil from the Bible Doom, who has nothing better to do than remind Shadow of all his trauma. Hey, remember that terminally ill kid that got shot? Yeah, how quirky, right? Shadow Generations will have us playing as Shadow, go figure, exploring memories from his past, going to levels such as Space Colony Arc, Radical Highway, Bullet Station, and Kingdom Valley. Ladies and gentlemen, we're finally getting that level pack DLC for Generations that we've all wanted for years. These are some good level picks, and supposedly there are going to be more, so this seems like it's going to be a pretty content-heavy side story. I know a lot of people are freaking out over Kingdom Valley, being like, holy shit, they're acknowledging 06 again, which seems like a bit of a weird comment to make to me personally, considering that 06 did have a level in base Generations as well. But hey, while I refuse to acknowledge 06 as a good game, I understand and respect it has its fans, and I'm happy you're all getting fed. Kingdom Valley is a pretty neat addition, I cannot lie. But one thing that really has my attention, like nothing else, is the fact that unlike in moronic horses, Shadow isn't just a Sonic clone in gameplay. He's got his chaos control that allows him to slow down time. And this allows him to do some really funky stuff, like use enemy projectiles as platforms, and the levels from what we've seen so far seem to be designed around this mechanic. There are shortcuts that can be taken by using chaos control wisely. And also, Shadow is going to be receiving an array of Black Arms-related power-ups, as seen in the trailer when... I'm sorry, this is peak right here. Shadow sprouting these alien demon wings has got to be some of the rawest imagery to come from this franchise in a whole minute, and I can't wait to see what other weird and wonderful powers Shadow is going to unlock to traverse these levels. And speaking of levels, the level design looks pretty clean. Like, Boost Sonic level design hasn't been this good since, well, Generations. While half of Frontiers' level design was stolen from other Sonic games, I find the cyberspace levels to be pretty enjoyable, but they definitely do have their shortcomings, and Forces as well. Forces, C-tier in Sonic game form. But here, we've got alternate routes, high and low roads. In Fidel's gameplay, he found an alternate path where most sane people wouldn't think to check. It's safe to say that the level design is gonna be pretty good here. But that's not all that Sonic Team have been cooking for us, because Shadow's hub world isn't going to be another 2D plane like Sonic's. He is getting a whole ass open zone to explore as his hub world, which is absolutely awesome. Like, you didn't need to do that for a Sonic Team, but I'll happily take it. We've only seen one screenshot of it so far, but I'm really liking how it looks. It looks very intentionally designed compared to the open zones of Frontiers. I like Frontiers okay, it's one of my favorite games in the series, but I'm not blind to its issues. The open zones in Frontiers do the job they need to and they're fun to play in, but it does end up looking very slapdash visually with all the floating platforms and grind rails that use the same black and green color scheme. But here there feels like there's a sense of intentional design to the open zone in Shadow Gems, and it kinda looks like, something I've seen somewhere else. Oh, and that Bio-Lizard fight looks really badass too. It's a perfect blend between the focus on spectacle that modern Sonic bosses have been leaning into, and being a recreation of that penultimate battle from Sonic Adventure 2. I'm really hoping we get some Titan fight tier stuff at the end of Shadow's campaign, and I swear, if they can get Kel and Quinn back to help Otani cook something fierce, I will ascend humanity. While that's all I have to say on the game, it looks really good, we do also have some supplemental material to cover as well. Mainly, we'll be receiving a 3-part animation to go alongside the game called Shadow Generations Dark Beginnings. We've received a minute-long preview, and honestly, it brings tears to my eyes. It's art in its purest form. Holy shit, is that Emerald? Despite what my Sonic fighting game video might make you think, I do in fact remember him, don't worry. We've also gotten this promotional poster for it here, which seems to suggest it's going to be more than just Shadow's backstory animated, as the poster prominently features Rouge and Omega, meaning we may finally get some of that Team Dark action we've been wanting for years. I am really excited to see how this animation plays out and what other fun and traumatic things will happen in it. And finally, we've got some bonus materials to talk about. As a pre-order bonus, you'll receive a skin for Modern Sonic based on his model from the Dreamcast version of Sonic Adventure 1. First of all, Sega, thank you for basing it off the Dreamcast version. The SADX models don't look terrible, but I find the SA1 classic versions of the models a bit more charming, even with their horrifying facial expressions. And we also seem to be receiving Professor Gerald's journal detailing Shadow's creation. This looks to be a physical pre-order only thing, like, could digital pre-orders just not get like a PDF or something? The preview image seems to show Angel Island depicted on the pages, and perhaps that means the ever-popular Shadow was based on the supersonic mural theory is about to become canon? A theory so popular that some people just think it's canon, by the way. It may be possible that the journal is something we can also just unlock in-game, but until the game actually drops, we don't know, so no use worrying about that right now. And of course, like most modern Sonic releases, sadly we've got a digital deluxe edition as well, but the goodies seem to be worthwhile in this one. Starting with the less interesting stuff, we get a digital art book and OST, an extra BGM pack, whatever that means. Is Shadow going to have the same option to switch music like Sonic does in base gens? I mean, hey, switching music was a cool feature in gens, so if so, I'm down for it. And also some skill points. Whether this means skill points for Sonic or Shadow is still unclear though. But now for the interesting stuff. Digital Deluxe owners are getting an additional skin and level for Shadow that will release post-launch. We don't have any details on this, but I am curious what they mean. Are we getting more levels post-launch? I mean, as mentioned earlier, that kind of DLC is perfect for Generations, so I'm on board if that's the case. But will you need to upgrade to Digital Deluxe to get these levels in this skin? Or if you bought the standard version, will this be its own solo DLC as well? And the final boon of the Digital Deluxe edition is a Terios skin for Shadow. For the unaware, Terios was an early concept character that would later be reworked into Shadow the Hedgehog, and honestly, giving Shadow a Terios skin is a really cool idea that I'm totally on board with. I'm usually quite cynical about the Digital Deluxe editions of Sonic games because they're usually complete shit, but this one had me pre-order day one. It's actually a really cool lineup of goodies to get for pre-ordering and buying Digital Deluxe that I'm quite excited for. One last piece of bonus content is earned by subscribing to the newsletter, this being a skin for Classic Sonic that gives him his Sonic Jam model, which is actually such a cool deep-cut reference. Keep giving me cool content like this, Sega, and you can spam my inbox all day and night. So ultimately, in conclusion, you can consider me really excited to see what Sonic X Shadow Generations will bring. It looks like a really fun game. Shadow has some interesting looking controls, the levels look fun to play in, the story concept sounds interesting, it comes with a Generations remaster, and it will give me some Shadow content to gnaw on while I wait for the third Sonic movie to come out. I have nothing else to say. You can go home now. Like and subscribe, or I'll do absolutely nothing.